Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Well, hello there.
So, guys, we're going to go back into the past and then look at what's happening in the news.
Yes, that's always fun.
It is. It's framing things, So, like Genesis 11:1, now the whole world had one language and a common form of speech. And then we jump forward to verse 5. Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the sons of men were building. And the Lord said, if there have begun to do this as one people speaking the same language, then nothing they devise will be beyond them. Come, let us, in the plural, go down and confuse their language, so that they will not understand one another's speech. And again, this is one of those verses that Bible scholars will come up with 1,000,001 things to try to justify and make sound, reasonable. But in reality, again, there's a oneness. They were one. They were not warring against each other. They were actually being constructive. They weren't being destructive. They were being constructive. Why in the world would the God of the multiverse not want that? The God of love and of peace? Well, because it isn't the God of the multiverse. Quite simply, it's beings that look at humans along these lines as we look at these old depictions. Again, humans with their hands tied behind their back, often tied together at the neck as slaves, and basically being used as a slave race. So when we look at the news today and we see here that the U.S. Air Force has sent a reconnaissance plane closer than ever to the Chinese mainland, you got to say, okay, what are they trying to do? Well, we can go back to Genesis. Hey, they're united. If they're united, who knows what they could do? They might figure out what's going on.
Well, it's the same as today. We all need to be more united and not so much against each other, not tattle on each other, not be angry at each other, but get along so we can accomplish more together. We used to have that, and then we didn't, but we're coming back to it.
Yes, as we go through the different yugas, the different cycles, and as our consciousness is being illuminated from the sun, which is sending us light, which is information, knowledge, giving us gnosis and understanding, and increasing our abilities in many ways, including the ability to see through the BS.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Giving us sight of a different kind.
And always keeping us afraid of each other. That's how they do it. It's always giving you a new boogeyman. There's always going to be a new boogeyman. When one boogeyman goes, there'll always be another one to pop up. Multiple destroyers were swarmed by mysterious drones off California over numerous nights. Disturbing series of events during the summer of 2019 resulted in an investigation that made its way to the highest echelons of the Navy.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It is. So on a number of days, groups of unidentified aircraft, which the Navy refers to as drones or UAVs, pursued service vessels. This led to a high-level investigation. So if we look at this in the light of everything that's going on over here, you can start to put two and two together and, get the bigger picture of what's going on. Obviously, there's a series of events that have been planned for a very, very long time, and we've talked about it. It was spoken of in 1871 by Pike, and he, basically told of their plans. And so, again, if things don't go according to plan A, then there's always plan B to fall back on.
Yeah, well, there is. Thank goodness.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about the bad guys' plan B, No. Well, when we talk about the bad guys, again, we're not talking really about humanity because, humanity is being used as pawns is really what's going on. And even at the higher levels, yes, there are humans out there that do realize the bigger picture and know that they are not helping humanity. And that's a very, very sad thing, but they do it for their own benefit and the benefit of their own family and loved ones, and at the expense of the masses, which is most definitely not true service to others, not at all, as we were talking about the Law of One. So the U.S. backs Philippines in a standoff over the South China Sea Reef because, as we see here, there was a Chinese maritime militia, which looks like fishing boats, but China has, let it be known that, there are fishing boats that are militarized, like the ones we saw off the coast of South America. Well, there was over 200 of them in Philippine water, which was causing an issue for the Philippines. They were feeling very, very, well, I'm sure they're feeling a little intimidated.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, so the U.S. has made the official declaration that they're standing with the Philippines, their oldest treaty ally in Asia. And the Philippines itself has an interesting history, as that area was taken over by Spain during the colonial empire times. And then, of course, we had the Spanish-American War. And again, our history is not always as it seems. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Well, that sounds like Bruce Banner, doesn't it? Beijing warns Five Eyes that an irritated China would be difficult to handle. So the Five Eyes alliance is basically Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, and the US. And so China is saying to stop interfering in China's internal affairs over in the South China Sea, as China, takes that whole area over there to be part of its internal affairs, and it will handle it on its own, and it doesn't want any interference. So things have gone to a different level here. The Dragon of the East is ready to roll, pretty much, and that's what we are seeing.
Yeah, it is, and it's growing and growing.
And again, the scripture tells us all about it. It tells us of an army of like 200 million men, which, can only come from one place, really. It could come from China and India, and that's really it. Those are the only countries that could man that type of, armies. And here we see Russia and China join forces to demand crunch UN Security Council talks over political turbulence as Moscow slams destructive U.S. As, there's a lot of things going on over in the Ukraine. Interesting how that all of a sudden flares up. Isn't that curious? And by the way, Putin challenged JB to a stair climbing contest.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
or maybe a naked bear wrestling contest in Siberia.
That sounds so appropriate, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny when you think about it. But yes, and as we've always said, it's so funny because, obviously these two countries would be aligned. Obviously, they're part of BRICS, for one thing, and, they've been aligned the whole time. But again, there are the puppet masters, at the very top echelon. They've given us the script. We see it. All we got to do is look to scripture, as well as other things like the movies and The Simpsons, and, just pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Look around, pay attention, and be awake and aware.
Yes. So, faced with the Western sanctions, Russia and China have increasingly sought to combine their diplomatic efforts as well as militarily. And when we look at the fleet tracker, we see we have two carrier strike groups in the Middle East there. One of them's in the Mediterranean. And then we have three over here within range of CHINA. And, there are more ships deployed than we saw typically most of the time during the previous administration. Of course, that ebbs and flows with everything that goes on. But it was interesting because the guides were telling Cindy that there's much more going on here than they're letting us know.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's underlying things, and it's very, very secretive right now. But it's definitely going on with credible things to rely on.
And China ignores U.S. embargo, buys 40% of Iranian oil. Alaska encounter ends on a jarring note. There's been so many close encounters and things that could lead to an escalation in events. And, this is so completely orchestrated. And, I think you guys know and can see that the bottom line is the people of the world just want to get along and have a little peace. Maybe they want to go out and play pool or see a movie now and then.
I know, the regular people, the normies like you guys and us, we don't want all of this stuff, but we're being thrown into it because we're pawns.
Yeah, and there's all these events that happen throughout history, these events that are so strange, like a driver going down the wrong street that leads to World War One happening, because there happened to be somebody there that was targeting the Archduke. These things, these coincidences are not coincidences. It's pretty obvious that we could see the orchestration that's going on. It's like they're playing this grand symphony and calling in this now and then calling in that one now, and trying to bring things about. But we do have free will, and we can push back against that. And if we could just get the people that are helping them carry out their plans to stop aiding and start to wake up and realize, hey, are we being creative or are we being destructive? Are we, helping humanity, or are we helping something else?
I know, if everyone could just learn to ask that question, the world would be a better place.
Exactly. There's so many different things coming out right now, and along different lines. Like there was a study out that showed holding a grudge, can actually really affect your health. Mm-hmm. So they're letting some of the real truth coming out now, and they have to. And you were just talking about that late last night, weren't you? Yeah, well, she probably doesn't even remember, because sometimes, she's like semi-channeling as we go. But yeah, they are going to be giving us more nuggets of truth, so to speak, as to how things really, really work. And we will keep waking up. It's up to us to wake up as many people as possible, because the world doesn't want these endless wars. The people of the world don't. The power brokers do. I mean, it's definitely good for some industries, that's for sure. And it's also good to keep people from being united, because, who knows what they could do if they are all united and all one. Mm-hmm. The ceiling is unlimited.
Well, yeah, we would know how to use our energy to bob and weave through everything and get more of what we want if only we understood.
Yes, I think a lot of us understand all too well exactly what's going on here. So guys, thanks for being part of the family. Make sure you are subscribed, have the bell clicked for notifications. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. And if you guys need to reach us for a session, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. May you guys always be blessed with abundant peace, love, health, and happiness. God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.